Well, hello there, Kansas City. Stephen St. John here with shockingly a new episode of Hot Mic with SSJ. Look, I know it's been a while, but I don't want to hear it, okay? We're back, and we're going to churn out a bunch of new episodes. One of the reasons why I haven't been doing Hot Mic about 2 months ago, I think. So I had some vocal cord damage, which was super fucking scary because, you know, my voice is my profession. And so I had a weekend where I had I went, you know, to some high school basketball games that my daughter was playing in, and then we had I had a charity event and a remote, and you know, 5 or 6 things that I did where I used my voice in like the span of 2 or 3 days. And I knew, and I started getting a real sore throat, and I started having a little bit of trouble talking, and I knew I had overused my voice. And so then it started to feel like, you know, I had like just a sore throat. Maybe I was getting sick. But like the whole week, my voice kept getting weaker and weaker, and to the point where I could barely talk, which I know is thrilling for a lot of people. But I couldn't talk, and it sounded terrible. And it wouldn't get any better. And so finally, my wife convinced me to go to the doctor. So I saw an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and they put a camera up my nose and down my throat to see my vocal cords, and they found there was a growth on my vocal cord, a nodule, I guess, and make sure that everything was okay. It wasn't cancerous or anything like that. But it was pretty sizable. And so we talked about treatment plans, started taking a couple medications, and trying to, you hear in the NBA, load management, trying to get a better control over using my voice when I'm not on the air. I do a 4-hour radio show every day, so it's kind of tough. But trying not to yell as much, trying not to project my voice so much when I'm not on the air, and just having some time where, you know what, I'm going to shut it down. I'm not going to talk as much and let my voice recover. I use a throat spray also now that supposedly helps keep all the vocal cords, in good working order. I use another spray that has honey and apple cider vinegar in it. So there's a lot of different things, and a couple of medications, like I said, that I was prescribed. To take a medication that helps decrease the amount of stomach acid I had because I had some issues with acid reflux. But it was a traumatic injury to my vocal cords, and so there was probably 5 or 6 things that contributed to it, a perfect storm of things. But it was scary because I couldn't talk very well for, I don't know, probably a week to 10 days or even more. But then I started the treatment and started to take care of everything, drinking more water, which you should do anyway. And so it got better, but it goes back and forth. I'm still battling it. I'm still seeing the specialist, and we're working on things, and they'll do the camera again, I think, in a few weeks to go and see what the size of the growth is. But and the hope is I continue to do this stuff, and I'll get to avoid surgery, so they don't have to remove that. But that's one of the reasons why I kind of took a step back from the podcast for a while. But I'm feeling better with it, and I'm talking better, and hopefully I'll be able to build back up to where I won't have any restrictions. But it's just changing, changing some of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis, take better care of my voice and my vocal cords, kind of similar to what singers do with the different sprays before and after, and just taking care of my livelihood, which is my voice. And so that is why we haven't had as many or any Hot Mic episodes over the past several weeks. But we're back here with another episode, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera now, but who better than to have my dad, Steve St. John Sr., which along with Jake Gutierrez, he's been the most frequent guest on Hot Mic with SSJ. Haven't talked to my dad in quite some time on the podcast, so I thought it would be a good idea to catch up with him since he just recently turned 72 years old. And so, happy birthday, happy late birthday to Steve St. John Sr. at 72. And so we're gonna talk about actually some really important things and some serious stuff. And so first of all, Dad, thank you very much for coming out here. I know it's quite a drive for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
How far south did you go today? You gotta get right up on the mic. Now, damn it, we talked about this right before. You gotta get up on the mic. Now, how far did you go?
I went to 135th Street as normal.
And then you
get off and then come back.
Okay, look, here's the deal. It's fine, but you got here. You got here.
I got here.
We're not worried about the process. Who cares how the sausage is made? It tastes delicious. You got here.
Yeah.
And so we got lots to talk about, right? So we've been it's been an interesting, I don't know, past several months. So I wanted to talk about this topic with you, this subject. Number one, because I think it's really interesting. Number two, it obviously affects our lives very much. And number three, and I've actually talked to a couple of people about this, I think it could really help some other people. And I think it could really, it could make some people feel not alone that might be going through a similar situation. Because I mean that's the hope. And so we're gonna see. And when I asked you, I thought you were a little bit skeptical about it, but then you called me the next day and you said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Let's do it." And so we're just gonna kind of fly by the seat of our pants here and see how this goes. Okay, so over the past several months, you've been faced with a few obstacles with your health. Okay, and so first you were in the Navy and you served in the Navy in the Vietnam War for three and a half years. Is that right? And how old were you when you went away?
17.
17. So from the age of 17 to 20, you were in the Navy and you served our country. And so because of that, you get you get taken care of. You get your care at the VA.
Yeah.
And so they take good care of you.
Yeah, take real good care of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you go there for everything.
Everything.
For people that don't know, that's where you go for all your checkups. You have any issues, they take care of you.
Medicine, everything.
And so, and you go to the main campus.
I go to the one out. It's all out off of Blue Ridge in Sterling.
Okay.
But for any major things like any specialists, I've got to go to the big one, which they're both good, you know.
Right.
They're both VA, so yeah.
But they both take good care of you.
The last, I got a letter in the mail that said that they were going to switch me. They call it teams, and they was going to put me on the elderly team. And I looked at that and I go, wow, what the hell is that?
You didn't like that, did you?
No.
Wow.
So
so it's 72. What's the cutoff for the elderly team?
I think 70, and I'm 72, so you know.
You're on it.
So I mean, but they check you real good there. I mean, they check you good anyway, but on that over elderly thing, they really check you.
Okay, so so for people that don't know, you have suffered from PTSD.
Oh yeah,
right,
mm-hmm.
and then what else?
Agent Orange
from Vietnam. So
diabetes,
right? So you have a lot of things you're dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were a kid, you were a teenager when you were there,
mm-hmm.
and so not only physically, but mentally, you saw a lot of things and went through a lot that was very traumatic, right? To the point where we've talked about stuff from time to time. We talked about stuff on the podcast, but and even like my kids, well, they want to ask you about it, but they don't know how to approach it because it's not always an easy thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But you went through that. We've talked about you coming home at 20 and then marrying my mom, who was 34, and then just months later, you guys had me, and then later on in life, you ended up going to the federal penitentiary for 8.5 years, 9.
About 9.
Yeah, you were counting, right? About 9 years. And so
I'm out in 99, so I've been out 25 years.
You've been out 25 years, and you went to Leavenworth, Waseca, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Yankton, South Dakota, Colorado Springs, Springfield, Missouri. Where am I missing? Is that pretty much all of them?
Probably a couple more. I just can't.
You went on a pretty good tour
Absolutely, yeah.
of the facilities. And I visited you at all of them except for Colorado Springs. That was the only one I didn't, but that was at the very end.
It was Florence, Colorado.
Okay. And so and then you've been out for, like you said, 25 years now.
25 years, yeah.
And no plans of going back yet, right? You're still
not right now.
You're good. Okay. And so you talked about you battled PTSD, diabetes, and different other health issues, but then tell me about the diagnosis that we're going to talk about today. What were there symptoms that you had, and then you go to the doctor? Like how did it all come about?
I was forgetting a lot of stuff, and.
Just like everyday stuff, like in general, like
just and my wife said same. She said, "Well, I forget too." Well, yeah, I guess I mean.
Well, fuck, I forget stuff all the time.
Yeah, but I was just forgetting a lot of stuff. So I went in and got a doctor that specializes in that. I think he's an Indian doctor, and they're really smart. They really are. And he checked me out and run me through MRIs and this and that, and he said, "Yeah, you got dementia," which I didn't know whether I did or didn't, but I just thought, I'll go out there and check. So he put me on a medication. I take a medication called, the heck is that? It's called, I brought this because I knew you'd ask me, but you haven't asked me. I'm going to beat you to it.
Okay. What medication did they give you?
It's called MEMANTINE.
I got no shot. I got to see it. Here, pass it over here. Let me see.
Yeah. Take it twice a day, and people say, does it help? I don't know. I hope it helps.
Memantine?
Yeah, sounds like it.
So, and what is this supposed to do?
Slow it down,
Okay. So they told you, that's how they said, he said you have dementia. Is it early onset dementia?
It's called front lobal.
Okay, front lobal.
The same thing as that Bruce Willis has.
Okay. Really? Okay, yes.
Yeah, same thing as he's got.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I have followed that. That's obviously a high-profile case. And me being a huge Bruce Willis fan, it's been interesting to watch that. And so how long has it been since they told you this?
About 6 months.
So that's how long you've known, but, you don't know, how long you think you've been having, if you look back, how long have you been having symptoms?
Probably a year,
Right? And so, were you alone when he told you? Or did you
I was alone.
Okay, so you're in the office and he tells you this, right?
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
Okay, thanks.
But, were you, surprised, or were you like,
No, I kind of knew because I was forgetting, and it's hard to explain to somebody what forgetting is, or really forgetting.
Right.
So, it's just like I was worried about forgetting as much as I was forgetting.
So it was like, okay, so like I just told you, I have a hectic life. I forget stuff all the time.
You move 100 miles an hour. That's different.
Can't find shit. But we all forget things.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you could tell it was different than just normally forgetting stuff. You were forgetting things in a different way.
Yeah.
That it felt different. And it's hard for you, like you said, it's hard for you to describe to somebody what it feels like.
Sometimes I'd go somewhere and I'd pull over and think, where in the hell was I going?
Right.
Sometimes going home. That's scary.
Sometimes you're coming out to see me and you go to 135th Street when I'm on 121st.
There you go.
Right?
At least I got a reason now.
Right. That's exactly right. Oh, so what did he tell you along with, because they just don't say, okay, you have dementia. Did he say, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's what the plan is, here's what the outlook is?
Take the pills, because there's nothing they can do. They can't, there's no cure that I know of.
Right.
And I'll tell you what it brought to my mind was 30 years ago, down in the North End, there was a guy named Mr. Voce, and he made all the ravioli in Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
and I'd go down there and talk to him. He was probably about 75 at that time. And I'd go in there, and he'd have to unlock the door. And I said, well, you having people bug you? You got to lock the door. He said, no, my wife's here. He said, she'll leave and get lost. I said, why? He said, well, she's got that memory loss. He didn't say what it was, but now I know what it was.
Alzheimer's,
it was dementia.
Or dementia, okay.
And he used to take her to work with him because he didn't want to put her in a nursing home. So now I'm thinking about it. I thought, boy, he was a good guy, but he had to really stay on top of it and watch her.
See, what it makes me think of, too, is so people that listen to the show or listen to the podcast know I talk about my grandparents a lot.
Yeah, sure.
And they were both from Mexico, Danny and Augie Ontiveros. And they were, for a long stretch of time, they were almost like a second set of parents to me.
Yeah, sure.
And for a long time, you were super close with them.
Yeah.
You were super close to your father-in-law, Danny Ontiveros.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He helped you in a lot of ways, and get jobs, or you guys
bonding company.
You owned a bonding company together,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
D&S Bail Bonds, which was located at 750 Ann Avenue.
You're right.
Danny and Steve, and you got to put the D first because you want to be early on in the phone book when they're looking it up, right?
It's a tricky spot, isn't it?
Nowadays, people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about the phone book? What do you mean by that?"
Yeah.
Well, that's how it was, and sometimes you would have me stay overnight and answer phones.
Yeah.
Until that turned out to be a fucking disaster, and you had to actually hire someone, which is fine. But that's and so Kansas City, Kansas. You were my grandpa was. How would you describe my grandpa? He was the fucking man.
He said, how's business? I said, it ain't worth a shit. He said, well, why? I said, fuck would I know,
Right.
So he said, come on. He said, you got any jewelry? I said, well, yeah, I got jewelry. I said, yeah, I always got jewelry.
Yeah.
So he said, you got a diamond ring? I said, yeah, I got one. He said, how expensive? It's not that expensive. It's got some coal in it. If anybody knows about diamonds, you can, if you take a loop and look in it, if it's got coal in it or something, it's okay.
Okay.
A couple $100 if that. So he took me down at the jail, the Wyandotte County Jail, and I can say it now because the guy's probably dead.
Oh, shit.
But the head guy that was in charge of the jail, he was a policeman and was lieutenant. And so he went there, he said, Lieutenant, he said, how come my son-in-law ain't getting no business? Because the inmates would have to come up and they'd give them the phone and dial, whatever
bonding company.
Whatever
okay,
bonding
yeah,
company. Yeah. And so we sitting there talking, and so, he says, man, he said, that sure is a nice diamond ring. And I took it off. I said, well, take a look at it. Put it on. Does it fit? Oh, it sure does. And my father-in-law looked at me and winked. And I said, well, go ahead and keep it.
You had to grease the skids.
Absolutely. I wasn't greasing them.
Right.
So Danny said, why hadn't you greased them? I said, well, I didn't want to go to jail. I said, you had to tell me. So he said, you better get back to your office. He said, you're going to be getting some calls. And from then on, anybody that came up to call a bonding company, Lieutenant would go ahead and dial my number and hand him the phone. They didn't have no choice.
Right.
It was no other bonding company.
So business was booming.
Booming, yeah.
And before that, my grandpa was a longtime bail bondsman.
Oh, for years.
Danny and Paul Bonding.
One of the first ones over there.
Right, down in downtown KCK.
Yeah.
He ran for public office. He was on several board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
There was a while there, my grandpa ran shit in KCK, right?
Mm-hmm.
Politically and with the police department, the fire department. He was on the committee that helped appoint.
He could get things done, yeah.
Right, and he was close friends with judges, and he could get
He got
shit
me
done.
a job at Ford many years ago.
At the Clay
Como, yeah.
plant.
Mm-hmm.
How did he do that? How did he get you the job at Ford?
Well, you knew a guy,
See, and that's the great way to describe it. He always knew a guy.
Yeah, I always knew a guy.
And what always struck me about him was when he would do something for somebody, many times he wouldn't take anything for it.
No.
He would say, no, you owe me a favor now.
Yeah, sure.
And so when I come to you, you take care of
Yeah.
me. And he would always, around Christmas, get all these, like, presents from, like, dozens of tamales and
yeah.
big cookie trays and Hickory Farm stuff for people
Everything.
that owed him something. Would just, the kitchen would be filled, right? And he did a lot of stuff for Mexicans that had come over from Mexico that were trying to find their way in the United States.
He'd go interpret for him and all that. Yeah, he was a good man. Yeah, absolutely.
And so he was incredible. My grandmother, she was awesome as well, but she liked to be at home. She was always at home. There was a certain point, hey, when I was young, before I was born, they were a power couple. They were everywhere at all times.
They were,
Always dressed to the nines,
sure.
right? And I mean, back in the day, my grandpa was a bartender at Fred Harvey's at Union Station. I mean, there's a lot of stories there, right?
You got a good memory.
But then, well, for now, I try. But like I remember a lot of the shit that you told me, and then he told me. But here's the thing: there's some shit like from 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, there's some things that are so pounded in my head way
uh-huh.
back. I have a better chance of remembering something from way back than I do. It's weird. So anyway. My grandmother was awesome, but by the time that I was old enough to really have a great relationship with her, she liked to stay home a lot. Grandpa was always kind of moving and shaking, and then they started to get older, and then one day, and you were already gone. Oh, this would have been like in 95.
Yeah, all the 90s.
Just fucking heard, hey, we're selling everything and we're moving to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, what? What are you fucking talking about? And to make a really long story short, she had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa did not want anyone to know in the family
sure.
except for one of his sons who
very private.
And I didn't know this at the time, but his reasoning behind it was he didn't want anyone to see her deteriorate the way they told him she was going to.
Yeah.
And but like, and that was traumatic for me and my mom, because my mom was super close with her parents. I was close with them, and they just left. And when we did find out what she was going through, my mom and me were both like, hey, we'll help take care of her. We want to be there for her. We helped take care of my Uncle Richie when he was battling ALS. So that's what we did. That's what our family did. But he just didn't. And I didn't understand it then, and it took me a long time to understand it.
Sure.
He had so much respect for her and cared about and loved her so much, he didn't want her.
Yeah, sure, I understand. I think when she went in the nursing home, he went in with her.
Well, see, then.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, yes. Later on, they finally did come back to Kansas City, and it was bad. It was, I mean, it was bad. She didn't recognize anyone. She wasn't very verbal. And I remember, and I didn't even know they had come back. You told me they came back, and I hadn't seen them for several years, a long time. And you set up where I could go and see them.
Yeah.
At the Denny's on Broadway.
Yeah.
And you had tried to tell me, it's like, you have to prepare yourself for this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same. You have to prepare yourself for this. I didn't know what you're fucking talking about. It was hard for me. But, because he knew he was going to remember me, but there was a strong chance she wasn't.
No, yeah, exactly.
But she fucking did.
Yeah, well, good.
She remembered me and
Steve-O.
Steve-O. They all call me Steve-O. And she remembered me, and even till the very end, she there was many times that she remembered me, and so that was incredible. But we went through some. It was very tough for everyone.
Yeah.
And what we also didn't know that my grandfather was battling Alzheimer's as well.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, when she had to be in a nursing home, he wasn't required to be in a nursing home, but he fucking checked in.
He checked in. It was on Leavenworth Road. I remember that.
Right with her. Instead of she's going to go in, I'm going to go in.
Yeah.
Great love story. And so, and then ultimately, in 2006, my grandpa and my grandma and my mom all passed away, one right after another.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Worst fucking year of my life. And that's no coincidence that they all passed away one right after another.
Sure.
And so, the point is, my grandparents had a very terrible struggle with Alzheimer's that I didn't quite understand why he handled it that way, why it happened the way it did. But now I do.
Yeah.
Especially now that I have a wife and that I have, several kids and understand the dynamic of
Sure.
what they were experiencing. And so like for you, and then that's what I think about, right? Like, how is this going to be? What are you going to want? What do you want? How is that going to change? And so, how much have you thought about that? Like, how as this plays out? Like, you even said you were doing some research on the internet last night.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do a bunch of research to try to do you
No,
ignore it? Like, how do
just,
you handle it?
You know what? It to be honest with you, and this sounds crazy, but I mean, I'm not. I'm not going to get in it and worry about it because it just ain't my style. Come time to go, I'm ready to go. You know, I go to church. I got, I go to that Sheffield Family Life Center. I got Dr. Westlake and Pastor Westlake. They're good people, and I've been down there like 15 years.
You're wildly popular down there.
Oh, absolutely, I am. And we have, so I have a relationship with the man upstairs. And it's just that doesn't bother me. I'm 72 years old, so, whatever happens, happens. But, like yesterday, I was or day before yesterday, I was riding my bike and come home, and I needed the guy across the street to set my lights, the lights that come on in front of your house and highlight. And his garage door was open. I started to stop and ask him to come over and do it. Real nice guy. And I went home and I told Vicky, I said, I can't remember his name. Mark. I've known him for a long time. And so when she said that, I asked him to come over. And then yesterday I was trying to give somebody my phone number, and I couldn't remember my phone number. So, things happen. But I mean, here's my thing is that it gives me a lot to be thankful for. As you well know, I got you. You're the best son I've ever had. I've never had another son.
Hey, thanks.
But, wait a minute.
The best and only.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty fucked up if I wasn't the best son you ever had.
But I mean, you're
I demand
good.
a recount.
Yeah. You work your butt off. You're the best father I've ever seen. Me and Vicky talk about you all the time. Say, man, this guy's he works all 24/7, and he takes those kids everywhere, and it's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. So I'm thankful for that, for 25 years of that I missed out on.
Right.
So it's I've got things to be. I don't just stack this up. I stack other stuff up that I'm thankful for. And, Angel is the same way. She's very, very productive. She's got a granddaughter now, and we get to go see her. She would be our great-granddaughter.
For people that don't know, Vicky's your wife.
Yeah.
Angel is Vicky's daughter and your stepdaughter, and she has a son that has a daughter, so that's your great-granddaughter that's named after Vicky. Yeah. And so that brings extra joy to your life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went into a play the other day, and she don't stop. She's a performer.
But Vicky, your wife, you're also very thankful for her because she gives you shit, but she takes care of you.
I was going to say
and she stays on your ass.
Yeah, for 20 years, I've had her. We've been married 20 years, and I'm going to tell you what. When I think about this dementia, and what I got to have cataract surgery, I got a list of shit. I've already had prostate surgery, but she's always there. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Seriously. What do you want for breakfast? What do you want for dinner?
Does she put up with any shit at all for me?
Oh, no, she don't put up with no shit. So, but, that's a good thing because I got to have somebody she's the one that got me drinking this water. But, I mean...
I will tell you this. That's one of the more stunning developments I've seen because you do not drink water.
No, I don't drink water.
And you are. And that's good, so...
So, I mean, she helps me help myself. And I know that if something happened, I wouldn't be going to a home because she wouldn't let me.
No, there's too many people that love you.
Yeah, I mean, I got all these people that, no.
But you know what? But some people have no choice, and they have to.
Some people don't, and I have a choice because I got a loving wife for all that time. And just like last Saturday, I don't know, we was somewhere Friday eating dinner. That's what I remember that. After Julia's track meet.
Right.
We went and had some dinner in
Up in Kearney, yeah.
up in Kearney, and me and Selena started talking about cars.
Yeah.
I said, "You like cars?" She said, "I love them." I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "I got several friends that have those, nice laid back cars and
Car
you know,
show cars,
yeah,
yeah.
$80,000, $90,000 cars." And on Saturdays they got a deal up on Berry Road. I said, "Well, let me call this guy tomorrow and see if they're going to have it." And I called the guy, and he said, "No, Steve, we're not going to have it there, but we're going to have it in Parkville. It'll be a lot bigger." So I called and asked her, if you could, if she could go, and she said, "Oh yeah." So she went with me to Parkville, and we went through the show, and of course, she had an agenda too.
Right.
She's no dummy.
This is Selena, one of my twin daughters.
Selena.
Julia had the track meet. Selena
Yeah.
went to the car show.
So anyway, she's wanting to go to Tommy Agrusa's son's first birthday.
Right.
And nobody, I didn't say nobody could take her, but she couldn't really fit the deal in the peg in the hole, and I guess her mom told her, you can't go because, well, I can get somebody to take me. I can get somebody to take me.
That's
Well, I didn't know that somebody was me, but
Right.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. So she came over and said, "Grandpa, you think you could take me to Tommy's when we're done?" I said, "Sure." So we went over to the Whataburger, and I didn't know whether he was going to have food or anything. So I got her a hamburger, and she said, "Dad, Grandpa, get them plain because you can really taste how good they are." And then she took a bite of it, and she looked at me, and she said, "What a burger!" I said, "Boy,
That's my daughter.
you're just like your dad and me." And so she was laughing. So then I took her to Tommy's. So she got what she wanted.
And then Sam took her home. She already had someone that
She
took her
had
home.
everything planned.
And that's what I told her. I said, "Here's the deal." Because you think Grandpa will take me? I said, "Well, you need to be the one to ask. You're old enough now. You're 15.
Mm-hmm.
You ask him. I don't need, people appreciate it more when you ask for what you want as opposed to having someone else." And she was ready to go. She's 15 going on 30, as you could tell.
Yeah, exactly. So that made me really feel good.
And so, and I know I kind of asked this before, but I'll ask it, in a different way. So, what kind of plans have you made? Have you talked about, with Vicky about, just anything? I know you said you don't want to think too much about it, but like I know the topic is how much longer do you want to drive, or how much longer does she want you to drive?
Well, we've made plans, and I'm not all that as a driver anymore. To be honest with you, you're laughing, but it's true, and she lets me know that. But I got to have this cataract surgery.
That'll help.
And the doctor said I've got to have it in both eyes. One week, and then a few weeks later the other one, and he said it'll be great. He said, but I mean, I don't. When we go somewhere, she drives.
Right. Well, yeah.
I mean, plus she's got a Cadillac. I like to ride.
Are you? I know the answer is going to be because I don't think you've never answered yes to this question about anything. Are you scared?
No, not even a little bit. And I'm not lying. I'm not all that. But I had Tracy, the little girl we adopted. She was special needs, and she wasn't supposed to make it till she was 16, and she lasted till she was 26. And we got her over at Whitechapel Cemetery across the street from our house. So I know, I mean,
And Tracy was your daughter, my stepsister, and
she was a sweetheart.
Right.
And so no, it don't bother, especially going to that church. I believe in the man upstairs and all that. I mean, some people say, there's no God, or there's no this, there's no that. Well, then take your chances, I guess. I'm not a bettor. I know what's upstairs, so, well, I'm going there, but I mean, it'd be nice to go there. But, I mean, no, that, and with that relationship with the church and the people there, I ain't worried about that.
You don't have any fear at all?
No, none at all.
Something else you told me I don't know if you remember this, when you first told me about this, and I probably got more upset than you did. and I haven't talked to you about, you know, about it too much. It's not easy to talk about. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. You said something that stuck with me. You said something, and I don't know if you said it just in passing, just to be funny, or if you really meant it. And you said, you know, yeah, there's a lot of shit that I want to forget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is.
And I thought
mean,
about it, and I go, yeah, I could see, you know, because you went through some hard shit when you were a kid. You went, I mean, in Vietnam, that was some terrible stuff. I'm sure prison was no walk in the park. There's some things earlier in your life, especially when when I hear you tell some of the stories. I mean, how old were you when you left home? You were
14.
There are some things that I think you've done a pretty good job of compartmentalizing and kind of putting out of your mind, where like you don't talk about it, you know, and you don't, and you know, I've tried a bunch of times, and you've been more open, like, to ask about the St. John side of the family or just different things, and you just, you know, you haven't either wanted to talk about it. And I hope you don't get mad that I bring this up, but like I started to do research on what's the website where you look up in the family tree and everything else, something like, yes, anyway, you know, and you try to, they have documents and stuff, just so I can learn more about, you know, the background and where we come from, and like finding out that would have been my great grandfather that came over from Ireland through Ellis Island. James Kirk, was his name. I don't know if he was in fucking Star Trek or whatever, but like finding out cool stuff about this. But then I found out that like you had a sibling that died when they were an infant or whatever, and I called and asked you about it, and you were like, I don't know, yeah, I think I remember, and you didn't want to talk about it, but it's like things like that, right? That I'm always wanting to know more about the family, but a lot of shit happened to you that you just, I guess, it's kind of put out of your mind. And was that what, like,
if you put it out of your mind, you ain't got. I mean, I ain't got time to think about that stuff.
Is that like what you're talking about? Like some of the stuff you don't mind that you're gonna, you know, what are the things that, again, you said you're not afraid, but what are the memories that you want to hold on to the most?
Well, you and the kids and the grandkids, and I mean, you know,
that doesn't scare you at all to allude to the.
What's that?
Like, okay, here's what scares me. Shockingly, everything scares me. You know, I am, but you know, not everything scares me. Everything concerns me. I'm always worried about. He doesn't worry at all about shit. I worry enough for both of us.
Yeah, true.
I worry about shit that probably will never happen, but fuck it, let me worry about it.
Yeah.
But like
you should.
Fuck. I've talked to Susan about it. I talk a lot about it with Richie, okay? And I'll say, you know, there's going to be some point down the road where my dad won't recognize me. And that'll fuck me up. You know, that'll be, I hate to even think about that. But you do, because I'm always the type of person, I try to think about stuff and plan for it and prepare myself for it, because I don't want to be blindsided by shit. But like, you know, and maybe I shouldn't, but I mean, do you think about, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know, because you're coming from that perspective. I don't know how you handle this, or what you think about, or what you know.
I mean, I can't guess how it's going to be, because like I said, it takes me back to my wife. She'll lead me through it, you know, and she'll help me with it.
Do you do anything different now? Like, do they tell you to? Is there anything like mental exercises or anything that you do that you don't want to do any of that?
I guess you can do crosswords and stuff like that, but I ain't into that. You know,
well, looking at pictures, or I mean, anything.
I like pictures,
right?
But no, it's. I've got a very close circle. You know, it's you and your wife. She's like a daughter, and the kids.
Yeah.
So when I'm with you, then all the attention's on me and Vicky. And when I'm with Angel, because she's my daughter, and her kids, I got one, Paigey, she's going to law school, and Frankie and Johnny's working with his dad, Richard. And, you know, Richard takes me all over the United States when he goes buying at the auction. So I've got, you know, I mean, that's all I need. is you guys, and that I don't need nothing else. I don't need Sam Sausage to come over and see me, and
The fuck is wrong with Sam Sausage?
yeah,
What'd he
he's
do?
okay. Yeah, he's all right. But it's just
You've never. I mean, it's funny. You've always been like when you. One of the coolest things about you that I admire the most is you can walk into any fucking room at any level, whether any neighborhood, and you could fit in. You can handle yourself.
mm-hmm.
You can communicate. You can talk to people. You can make people laugh. You can tell stories. You can be comfortable in any setting, right?
Yeah.
You can own a room, and that's something that I feel like I've taken after you. I have an ability to do that.
Yes, you have, and I'm very proud of you.
I can mix with any people and feel comfortable, but also there's an element like you don't fucking totally like people too much either. You're like you had, like you said, you had this small circle,
Yeah.
and you're not looking for a bunch of bullshit. You can handle yourself with that, but you don't need, like you said, you don't need a whole bunch of people around you at all times. You're happy and content with the circle that you trust.
Yes.
And that's going to be even more important as this develops. So you said you were doing research, or you're looking up stuff on the internet last night, right?
It was just talking about the things you can do, and like I said, this medicine's about it. But it did surprise me when it says about a 7.5 year span. And
Life expectancy?
Huh?
You said the life expectancy?
Yeah, but the fact of the
I've
matter
seen
is,
some people can live with it plus 20 years or more.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, you can. But I mean, I don't really care to live till I'm 80 or 90 years old. Shit. I mean, I've already went through this stuff.
right?
So that don't bother me. Oh, I want to be 90. In fact, I don't want to be 90.
Why not?
And I don't want to be 30 either. I'm happy. I'm probably the happiest now that I've ever been. Although with this dementia, it's got depression, anger.
You get mean sometimes, right?
I already got that. I take medicine for all that.
Yeah.
Anxiety, behavioral, I already take medicine.
But like,
for
what
that.
do you like? Do you notice anything that's different now? Like, is any of that worse? The anger or anxiety or
sometimes sometimes like Vicky, I'll cut her off or something, and then later on I'll think about it and
sometimes cut her off
all the
Right.
time.
Yeah,
But she ain't nobody to jack with, because she's from Northeast, and she's a tough cookie. So I have to have a gal that's strong, because if I don't, then well, you've seen what I've done to the last one, so I'd send them down the road. But yeah, but no, Vicky's really, she's good for me.
right.
I don't know, she's good for me, and it.
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
guys are really close, and she's close with Susan. So, that's all I care about, that I have somebody in my corner. And then like Angel, her and Angel's going to, you know about this deal. They're going on a trip the 21st of April.
She's going to be gone 3 weeks. And she went around and told everyone, me, individually, Susan, Richie, Phil, Selena, Julia,
all of my grandkids.
You got to call them. You got to go over there. You got to check on them. So we're going to be like in shifts.
Yeah.
Then there was talk about having a party at the house, and
we're going to have a party. If
Take
she
it-
leaves the 21st, it'll be on the 22nd.
Phil turns 21 in 4 days, so there's been talk about taking him out to the Kansas City he hasn't seen. But again, getting back to like the future.
Yeah.
So how often do you do you see this doctor on a regular basis? How often do they check the progression?
Every few months, every few months.
And what do they do?
They just go and I talk to them a little bit and get her prescription of pills.
But how often do you have to do scans on a regular basis?
No,
or well, is there a point where they're going to
no,
see
it
the
is
progression?
what it is. I think
Right.
I haven't got that far yet, but
But how do they? They don't measure the progression with anything, or just by.
I
talking
guess
to
they
you,
measure it with me.
Right.
With what I tell them.
How different do you feel now than maybe a year ago?
Well, like I said, I forgot that guy's name.
Right.
And I forgot my phone number. And I did go to 135th Street
Right.
this morning.
But you made it here.
I made it here.
Right.
That's all. I got that phone with the deal, but I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. No,
Right.
you know. But just things, I guess, jump out at me now and make me think that, boy, you got it, you know. But nah, it's not all that.
Well, as long as you don't forget about the $5,000 that I lent you, then we're good.
I told that doctor, I said, if I owe you money and don't pay you back, then you understand, don't you? And he looked at me and started laughing.
Just so you know, here's the deal. When you hear me and you hear my sense of humor and you think, can this guy ever just be fucking serious? I get that from him. And
Yeah.
so, like, pretty soon after you told me about this,
Yeah.
that's always been my defense mechanism. Like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Let me make people laugh, or let me tell a joke, and that'll settle things down, right?
Mhm.
And I looked at you, and I think I pulled it off pretty good. I looked at you real close after you told me that you'd been diagnosed with this, and I said, well, let's just, don't forget about that $5,000 that I lent you. And you go, what $5,000? I said, don't start that fucking shit already. But,
Yeah.
Hey.
That humor's a savior.
So is it, so it's, but what he called it is dementia. But it's not Alzheimer's, or is it Alzheimer's, or will
Dementia,
it turn into
what
Alzheimer's?
he said, you know,
Right.
front lobule, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know.
And
Like
so,
I said, it ain't all that. You asked me to come on here, and I just come on here because you asked me, and
right.
hopefully it'll help somebody, and hopefully if somebody does have it, they have somebody like I got, because if not, then you end up going to a nursing home or something, and that would bother me.
Yeah, and sometimes it's unavoidable. Like, to the point my grandma was at.
Yeah.
We couldn't. I mean, she was in her
Yeah,
90s.
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
And there was
yeah.
no one that could provide her with the care that they
Yeah.
could. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the only answer.
Yeah.
And some people don't have, and that's why, I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell you you're lucky, but you're lucky. You're lucky to have,
I'm real lucky.
Vicky and like everyone's, Angel's family and our
Yeah.
family and everyone that care about you, because not everyone has that,
No, I mean, like Angel, you remember Red Battalion?
Right.
He got sick, and boy, he moved in with her, and she give him a bell, and every time he needed something, he'd ring that bell. She's running up and down the stairs.
Are you
No.
telling me that you
I'm
want a
telling
fucking
you the
bell?
truth.
Would you like a bell? No, are you saying you want a
Yeah,
bell?
I'll
get
I
you a
need
bell.
one, if I need one. So I mean, he'd lay there and ring that bell, and boy, she'd run up and down the stairs and cook him whatever he wanted. And I thought it was funny.
How would Vicky respond to the bell if I brought a bell?
I
over
don't
for
think
you?
I think she'd get rid of it.
No,
Yeah,
I think
I know she'd.
you
get
know
rid
that
of
that's going to fucking happen now that you've told me this.
it.
at
It
some
should have been in
point.
the trash.
Now let me ask you this: what about riding the bike?
I wrote it day before yesterday.
that help you?
Yeah, I love it.
Because they do say, because I've tried to do a bunch of research, although I don't think you're interested in any of it apparently.
Yeah.
But like exercise, like drinking water,
I've been going to the gym and I've been riding my bike,
and that helps.
and I'm not going to stop.
Does that make you feel better?
Oh, yeah, it makes me feel better.
Where do you ride your bike at in case somebody wants to see
I
you and
go
honk
down
at
at
you?
that. I can't think of the name of that park down Antioch.
Right.
You got the park. Half of the park is on the right side, the other half's on the left side. If I go down the sidewalk and go on the left side, it'll take me all the way down to Berry Road. And if I go the one across Antioch, it'll take me all the way to North Brighton. So yeah, and it's good. It's trees, flowers, and
that's good. That's great for you.
Yeah, and a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you just use the electric." I don't just use the electric on my bike. I pedal it, but I mean, if I'm coming
Are
up,
you pedaling or using the electric?
I'm pedaling.
Don't bullshit people.
But if I start to come up a hill after all this, I go about 9 miles, and I'll hit the electric. I ain't gonna lie about that.
What do you do when you go to the gym?
I don't do anything crazy. I walk, and then I go downstairs in the steam room,
Right.
and then I go over in the dry sauna, and then I go to the hot tub.
How many times a week you do that?
About 3.
See, but that's good. That's all that stuff's
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you're actually drinking water. This isn't just for cameras. You're drinking water on a
Yeah.
regular basis.
She fills it up every morning.
You fucking hate it, don't you?
No, I
What
don't.
would you rather have in there?
No.
You wouldn't rather have a Diet Pepsi?
I got a 12-pack of Pepsi in the garage, and that's for you.
You don't drink any more Pepsi?
No, I don't. I haven't had one for a week and a half.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm
serious. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm just
ever since
drinking
I was
water.
a little kid. I've never seen anyone drink.
Yeah,
love Diet Pepsi or Coke or pop more than you.
She starts
straight out of the freezer.
Yeah, she starts me in the morning with this water.
Have you changed your diet at all?
Yeah, she made me salmon the other night with asparagus, and we really kind of cut it. I'm eating like cantaloupe and
that all helps.
And marshmallow. Yeah, I know because I can't eat junk,
Right. Except for when we go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that though.
That's right.
He doesn't eat any of the bad stuff at the movie theater. I don't give him any of it. I can promise you that, Vicky.
That's right.
If you're asking that, no popcorn, no butter,
no nothing,
none of the chocolates.
Yeah.
But and you also have to, you got diabetes too, and you have to fucking
You got to really watch it.
Like the other day, what happened when we met for lunch? Your fucking blood sugar was all the way down because you hadn't eaten.
It was down to like 54.
Right, and we got you taken care of.
Yeah.
And so that's also part of it too.
Yeah, I mean
because you have a lot of health issues that you have to monitor and watch.
Yeah.
And so.
And she's really good at that. I mean, I keep saying Vicky, but it's true.
Here's the deal. She's gonna watch this, and I know what you're doing. You're trying. This is.
No, I don't have to do that, but it don't hurt.
Right, it doesn't hurt. Trust me.
Hurt,
Susan's wonderful. If Susan's listening to this, I love Susan.
Yeah.
See?
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's wrong with kissing the right asses.
I mean, she'll start on me, and sometimes she rubs me the wrong way, but I guess she's rubbing me the right way,
right. That's okay.
Because I mean, you got to have somebody on you, and because all this stuff is from Vietnam, the diabetes, even dementia. Read on that. Dementia comes from depression and all that. I know that because I've read it.
That's why it's so important what the VA does to take care of
VA is
people like you.
Trust me when I tell you, maybe 20 years ago they had problems with the VA, and I got to tell people out there now, if you're a veteran and you got access to the VA, you need to go because that's what they're there for. Those people work hard out there, and they don't make a lot of money either, and they really do. They really work hard.
And the people that deserve the best care the most are the people that serve this country.
Yeah.
That's who we should take care of more than anyone.
And they do take care. I mean, if I sit there in the waiting room and somebody starts bitching and I say, "Hey, how long you been coming here?" "Oh, maybe a couple of months." I said, "Listen, man, let me explain something to you. Go to a regular hospital and see how long." I said, they'll goddamn ignore you. I said, I took my wife to the hospital, 3 weeks ago. She was sick. Took her down to North Kansas City, and I'll say it, North Kansas City Hospital.
Oh, shit.
Went to the emergency room, and I said, I'm going to go park the car. I went to park the car, and I come back, and she said, "Let's go." What do you mean, let's go? She said, "They have no beds. This is crowded. Let's just go." So I took her home. I mean, when I go to
it's like going to a restaurant with a 2-hour wait. You just sit, you just want to get.
I mean, when I go to VA, they really, really, really do. They help me.
And so we'll just wrap it up with this. I've talked a lot about this with Richie and Phil and the girls and Susan, but especially the kids because I want them to be prepared. And Chris, I want them to be prepared and understand, and also I want them to take advantage as much as they can of the opportunities for us to be together. Like tonight, we're going to that.
You do a good job.
Rocky musical, and like you guys go to the girls' track meets and basketball games and shit. You're out there watching Richie and Dola White at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I go to bed at 8.
Vicky doesn't have any problems going.
No, she don't.
Her and Susan get going.
She rather looks forward to it,
right.
Especially if Susan goes.
I like the best part is at about 10:30 you're looking to leave.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. She's not.
She's not. No.
Right. But I hope you know. I mean, you do know. And you don't need to. You've already told me, but you know how much I love you.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know how much I care about you, and how the kids, the grandkids look up to you, and you've always been like this larger than life figure that's never scared of anything. That you walk in the room and you're the toughest guy in the room. And even though I'm fucking, how old am I? Am I 52? Fuck, I can't even remember how old I am. No, I'm 51. I'm 51 years old, and I still, when shit's bothering me, I call you.
Yeah,
I call my dad.
I like that. It makes me feel good.
Or like if I'm upset about something, then I talk to you that I'm not upset about it.
Yeah.
Or if something has me bothered, I talk to you and it evens me out. And so I just, no matter what happens, we're here. We're gonna be here.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna be together as a family, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's very important.
Everything that has led up our whole lives to this point is for a reason.
Yeah.
And like you said, and I'm happy to hear you say that, everything you've been through and all the things you've experienced, you're happier now than you've ever been.
Yeah, I'm
and you
happier
deserve that.
than I've ever been. So if this is the case, I'm 72 now. I'm happier than when I was 30. I mean, really. And people go, "Wow, you kidding me?" If you get sick, I said, "Yeah, even if I get sick. I mean, I live in a nice house, drive a nice car. Lucky to have what I got. A lot of people don't have that, I mean."
And so hopefully, if there's people out there listening, whether it's people that have a parent that's going through this, or if you are going through this, or whatever, hopefully this makes you realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
It's something we're dealing with. And I knew this guy, his unique way of dealing with it. Are you scared? Fuck no, he's not scared. He faces everything head on, and that's just, that's why he inspires me when I feel like I'm scared about something. Like, I always put myself in a situation like, how would my dad handle this? Like, if I'm in a tough spot, like, how would my dad react to this? How would my dad handle this? And then that makes me feel better, because I would handle it like, you know what, fuck you. Let's
exactly.
Go. You know what I mean? Let's get it done. And so I'm glad you opened up and talked about this. And then hopefully we can have you on and talk about more stuff. So what's next? Cataract surgery on both eyes.
Well, I've got to go have a meeting with the surgeon, and I guess they go over some stuff with you. Then I'll have the right eye done, and then in a few weeks I'll have the left eye done. So yeah.
And you can finally see what the fuck's going on around here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're in for a surprise, huh?
Maybe I can drive a little longer.
Oh shit. Well, that's my dad, Steve St. John. It's been a unique podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and it meant something to you for us to share what we're going through. And until the next episode, thank you so much for listening to Hot Mic with SSJ. The microphone is off.